Welcome back to another Q&A. As we perked up quite a lot there, because whenever Q&As come up, we're always perking up, aren't we?
Yeah, indeed.
Indeed. Oh, hey, I'm Mr. Parkin. This guy sitting next to me is NJ. Oh, that what's up extended shivers down my spam, baby. I can't do a Dusty Rhodes impression, but please keep sending in your questions, and maybe some of you out there can do Dusty Rhodes impressions much better than me. Let's get straight into this Q&A, as we want to answer as many questions as possible, so you guys actually have your questions answered within a reasonable amount of time. Lara Lewis, which we missed on the last Q&A, we're going to do on this one as well. Where Cena and Orton better back in the day, 2002 to 7, than they are now?
People do say that Cena's rapping gimmick was so different for the WWE, stuff that people would buy into, found entertaining, and now he's more bland. So Cena, you could say, had something there.
In the sense that back in 2002 to 7, Cena and Orton, they weren't really top guys. They were top guys, but Cena wasn't the guy. I mean, you had Brock Lesnar was the guy, then Cena become the guy. So I guess you could say Cena as a gimmick was better back then, but now he's more of a top guy and probably more of a less of a draw, depending on how you feel about it. As for Orton, his Legend Killer gimmick was good. The Viper gimmick, the face turn, wasn't very good. So I don't really know. I mean, I'd say Cena and Orton were probably better back in the day, as they were newer and more on the scene, whereas now we're getting a bit more tired of them at the top, I guess. Well,
as you're talking about the now, when it comes to Orton, hell yes. Right now, maybe what Triple H and other people about his whinging is and stuff is not really giving us the Orton who used to punt people, take out the boss, go after the Triple H's wife, the one that used to go after legends.
2009.
I'm not feeling that Orton now. So with Orton and Cena, yes.
Internet Hero 17. You've given yourself a very overwhelming name there. Why do people not seem to understand that one person isn't responsible for low or high buy rates? And why do these same people continue to overlook that in all of the pay-per-views that WWE has done disappointing buy rates, John Cena was the champion in the main event, yet somehow the blame always goes to his opponents? It's true. I mean, how can you blame Daniel Bryan and Miz for the bad Survivor Series 2011 buy rates and 2013 buy rates? And you blame the bad SummerSlam buy rate on the CM Punk storyline. And I get it, you know, CM Punk wasn't a massive draw then, but then he lost like 11 pay-per-views in a row, won one pay-per-view, and then we're expected to buy him as a big star. It's like, it's not really their fault. It's WWE's fault by the way they've been booking the guys, really.
I like how these negative questions, somehow John Cena comes up in them. You know,
always.
John Cena's to blame because he's been spoon-fed every single accomplishment he's got, taking note that he's hard work because he is there every single week because he doesn't get fired or suspended or injured. And so, but blaming the opponents because they make a little mistake or they're not the top dog, yeah, I think it's more the writer's fault for spoon-feeding Cena and these other wrestlers are picking up the pieces.
It's partly the writing, I will give you that, but maybe, just maybe, WWE, maybe John Cena just isn't as big of a draw, and a guy, and someone who makes stars, like maybe a guy like Hogan was back in the day. Maybe he just isn't as big of a star as you think he is. If he can go in the ring with like maybe a nobody and can't draw pay-per-views. If Hogan went in the ring with a nobody, he would still draw pay-per-views. If Rock did it, it'd still draw.
That goes with The Undertaker. Like, I think Undertaker's been there the longest. John Cena's meant to be the top guy. But John Cena's been in the ring with, like, Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan beat him. Has this really pushed Daniel Bryan up?
It did to a degree, but then it kind of like leveled out and it's kind of fizzled a little bit since. It's not really...
Punk's beat him. It worked for some time.
Good example, Dolph Ziggler. He beat him at TLC. This year's TLC, he's losing to Fandango on the fucking pre-show in 4 minutes. You know, there are so many of these examples, aren't there? So maybe Cena is just not as big a star as they think he is. Also, they said it's also overlooked that guys like The Rock and Brock Lesnar failed to help buy rates either. That's very true. Even though they're more temporary guys and special attractions. So why not blame them? I guess it's because, you know, that Vince McMahon doesn't really want to blame guys like The Rock and Brock Lesnar, as, you know, they're kind of temporary to the company.
Well,
he doesn't want to upset them.
Brock, when he faced Triple H and stuff, that was meant to be the highlight.
Buy rate.
Yeah, so Rock and Cena, everyone keeps saying everyone's saying it's because of
Yeah.
The Rock being there and Cena's obviously just being the opponent because WWE trying to put him over.
Yep.
So I'll say Brock and Rock, not really a negative.
Also, when Survivor Series this year draws a low buy rate, and it will because it always draws lower than SummerSlam, very true. Are you going to blame Randy Orton and John Cena, the champions, or are you going to blame CM Punk and Daniel Bryan for being in a tag team match? You know, who knows who they'll blame? I mean, you know, John Cena was the world heavyweight. Orton. I mean, I don't blame the main event. I mean, Orton versus Big Show. Did people really want to see that? Did they? I mean, I understood where they were going, but did you really want to see Randy Orton versus Big Show? Did you really want to see John Cena versus Alberto Del Rio? That is exactly the problem. Bo the Xbox Pro. You didn't even need to have to comment on that because I just pretty much said everything there, didn't I? Bo the Xbox Pro. Do you think our lifetime will ever see another PG-13 era? I think it's difficult to say because we don't know really how society is going to react and how things are going to pan out in the next 5 to 10 or 20 years. It's difficult.
A part of it, you could blame Linda in some kind of way because obviously Vince was trying to protect his business while she was doing all this. So if she ever stops and if Vince ever brings into a deal, I think we could, but when, I don't know.
It just depends on the way society changes and everything. In 97, 1999, it just felt right and it was the right time to do it. Will there ever be another time like that? Who really knows? We can't predict how this is going to happen. How can there be a Divas division with 4 total actually competing on a regular basis? Think they'll have a Tamina turn on AJ and have her own thrown around by a bigger woman, maybe even take the title. And why would they not do a Total Divas versus other Divas Survivor Series match? Not like the interest in getting any lower. They did do the Total Divas versus Survivor Series match. The Divas division, though. Do you really want to talk about the Divas division?
The only thing I'm going to say is, for a big example to this question, was TLC. Natalya, the final diva to take the title of AJ, lost. So now who the hell is going to be the next top diva? Flipping out WWE. Stupid.
Oh, I think it's more of a case of who can they build up to legitimately beat AJ Lee. I think Natalya was probably the last person, even though they didn't really build her up in a good way. But yeah, Divas. Yeah. It's a question about Divas. Please don't send in questions about Divas, please. Biggest upset in terms of guys who should not have gotten over.
Should not.
Probably like Carly and beating Undertaker. I mean, at the time, I guess he got over because, or Tensai beating John Cena. Remember that shit. Now look where Tensai is. But Carly destroying Undertaker, I could get it because Carly was massive and they were trying to get him over. But at the end, now he's a comedy jobber. So, you know, there are many instances where that's happened, like, you know, all sorts of stuff.
To be honest, I can think of people who maybe shouldn't have been champion, but shouldn't have gotten over. To be honest, Carly, when he came in, you thought he was the big dominant guy, but obviously that went down. So from first glance, it's hard to judge until something slips up.
It's all about the colour of the pants, isn't it, NG?
That's
it definitely is.
Pink.
That's why we all wear dark pants, because we want to look hard. John Leslie Reed, or Jeans. What would you guys think of the idea of Dean Ambrose defending the US title against Rey Mysterio in a ladder match at TLC? I know TLC is gone, but we can still answer this. That would be a bad idea. I mean, Rey Mysterio coming back, you may as well have given him some kind of big spot on TLC. And I know he was in a tag team title match, but why not have Rey Mysterio face Dean Ambrose? He barely ever defends the US title anyway. At least he'd be a somewhat legitimate opponent and probably a big win for a guy like Dean Ambrose.
Rey Mysterio cannot wrestle anymore. Yes, he can still move around the ring, but there's all these reports that he's still not 100%. Yeah. So to be honest, face Ambrose, it's not really going to change much. No. Yeah, it's Rey Mysterio wrestling. Go Rey Mysterio fans. If anything, sorry to change the question a little bit, Dean Ambrose at the moment versus the IC champion.
What, a unification match?
I think that's what they need to do with the mid-card now.
Alright, I would be for that, I would. Abdullah Shaka, sorry. Do you think John Cena will get booed when he gets inducted into the Hall of Fame? No, I think maybe a couple of people will, but generally I think people will respect him going into the Hall of Fame later when he's retired.
No one's going to want to induct him. No, I'm not inducting him. No,
it'll be like
no.
I don't want to be associated with John Cena and get the boo. I mean, like, was it WrestleMania 28 when they had someone sing for John Cena? I can't remember who. I think it was Machine Gun Kelly. And everyone started booing Machine Gun Kelly because he was singing for John Cena. It's like, if you ever do like anything with John Cena, you're going to get booed. But hopefully the Hall of Fame will be a little bit different, even though you do get some crazy-ass fucking fans like the ones that booed Maria Menounos and, you know, Donald Trump. People that actually maybe did something for the business or were friends with a legend in the business such as Bob Backlund and Maria Menounos.
Donald Trump. I'm going to throw in my own question to this, related to this.
Oh, go on.
Who would induct John Cena?
Probably Vince McMahon, who'd probably be the only one with the ego to do it.
The only one that likes him.
Well, he has made him a lot of money. Ambrose Freak 99. Does it bother you that no stables in TNA have ever managed to put over new talent? Yes, because that's the whole point of new stables. I mean, Aces and Eights sure as fuck didn't put over any new talent. You could say maybe they took Bully Ray to the next level as a legit world champion, but he could have done it himself. Main Event Mafia really didn't because they were already stars. Fortune and Immortal never did it because that storyline just plain sucked and people didn't give a shit. So...
You know what I'm going to say? If they continue doing it right, they've got small hope. Small hope is the Kaz, Daniels and Rude. This could be a great way to at least put, maybe eventually, it's never going to happen, Kaz higher or Daniels in a better place because they're teaming up with a main eventer. That's the only one they have left that could possibly do something.
Yeah, I guess that they probably won't do that because they're all heels and they're not going to turn... I don't think they'll turn anyone babyface just yet. When the Wyatt family split... Okay, so we're already talking about the Wyatt family splitting here. They've only been in the WWE for like a couple of months. Will they all have good singles careers or just vanish? I don't think that Rowan or Harper can do much outside of the Blackwood psychopath gimmick, sorry, they are using right now, although Harper is a good ring worker. I mean, Bray Wyatt, well, could obviously... But the thing is with Bray Wyatt, the family is all part of his gimmick. So I don't think Bray Wyatt could be Bray Wyatt without the gimmick, without the Wyatt family, in my opinion.
I'm leaning towards... When we were having this discussion along a few Q&As ago, tag teams that be put together and broken up, I think the Wyatts, the fact that you can't really pitch them having much of a single run, I can't.
No.
So I think they're a tag team that should pretty much be a tag team and be a dominant tag team. Bray, at this moment in time, I think he's suited to be in the three he's in. But on his own, possible.
I would say out of the three, obviously Bray Wyatt has a lot of potential in my opinion, even though he does need the gimmick in order to get there. But Brody Lee, who plays Luke Harper, is a pretty good talent, so I think he could have some sort of run if they want to repackage him or somewhat. Is the word fake taken out of context when describing wrestling? What a question! Do you see people going on about Breaking Bad being fake? Do you see people going on about Superman the movie being fake? Do you see people going on about 2.5 Men being fake? Do you get my point? Do you see people going on about TV programs being fake? Oh, but when it comes to wrestling, it's fake scripted entertainment and we have to, make a big deal out of it. God.
The word fake is quite insulting. I'm pretty sure the wrestlers would agree.
I'm sure the wrestlers would definitely agree.
Their body's on the line. It's their future, their money making. So if you're going to use a word fake, when obviously... As we've mentioned in many videos, it's the writers scripting what the wrestlers do. Fake is insulting, and that's why us fans want to try and defend the WWE or wrestling because it's something that we're into.
What's the difference between writers writing a script to 2.5 Men and the writers writing a script to a wrestling show? There's no difference. So I don't see the stigma here. I really don't. This is for me. Will Brendan Rodgers take Liverpool to a Premier League title? No, it will take a... No manager will ever take Liverpool to a Premier League title again, in my opinion, but that's just me. Maybe it will happen 50 years down the line when I'm old. For the title versus title match of TLC, should Cena and Orton defend their titles in separate matches, then the two winners face each other, same way that Y2J won the Undisputed title? Or who would they face? So you can't really do that. Who would they face?
To be honest, single matches, it will be what they've had before. Del Rio and Cena, and Orton and Daniel Bryan, or Big Show, yeah.
And Orton would win.
What they've done now, I think it was the right thing to do. Use TLC as the concept for their big match. 2 separate matches would have worked really well.
The whole unification thing was so rushed. It was just, match made in 11 years, and we're going to just build it up in 3 weeks to a filler pay-per-view. That makes it feel important. When people say that wrestlers are really bad actors, do you agree or disagree? Well, Depends. I mean, some wrestlers are bad actors because they focus a lot on the actual wrestling aspect. Like, for example, Davey Richards. Remember how boring ass Davey Richards and Eddie Edwards were in ROH? How bad actors they were?
I forgot who they are.
Exactly. That's how bad of an actors they were. You don't see people forgetting people like Tom Cruise because he's a fucking good actor, The Rock, etc. But you do. I mean, wrestling in general, it is a soap opera to a degree, so there does need to be some good acting in there in order to sell the storylines. So, you know. If it depends how bad. If they are a bad actor, then I agree. If they're just, if they're just making a big deal out of it, then I disagree. It's just, do you stick up for the wrestler or do you just tell the truth?
That's right, baby.
Exactly. Jack Gibbons. Loads of questions. Will you guys ever make British Fish shirts? Not sure that's going to happen now, but we were considering it at one point, weren't we?
Shirts would definitely be, blockbusting selling and stuff because the shirts we make would be up to the awesome. But it comes to a point where YouTube doesn't feel as hot as it used to be when we first started, and as much as we want to give you fans more than what we're giving you now, YouTube's just not as hot as it used to be.
No, and to be honest with you, we're trying our best right now, even though YouTube isn't that hot, to put out as best videos as we can. So. Sorry if you feel there's been a decline or something, but that's just, we're trying our best, trust me. Yeah. Mr. Parkin, how would you bring in Sami Zayn to the WWE and when do you think they will do it? I don't think they will do it until 1 or 2 years down the line. I really don't. I think they'll make him NXT champion first. Which is funny really because I think of all the people, Sami Zayn he's had 10 or so years in the business. Now of all the people, I don't think he's one of the guys that needs to be in developmental all that long. But I guess, it's about picking the right time to push him. So I don't really know when they'll bring him in, but hopefully when they do bring him in, they'll actually do right with him, even though WWE's track record with NXT guys generally isn't very good.
A tag team partner for Fandango?
Possibly. NJ, what is your favourite WWE shirt?
Wow.
He's got like 100, so this is actually a legitimately tough choice.
Damn you. I'm going to say... one of my top favourites because I'm really.
No, it has to be the top. No, one of the top.
DX jersey.
You sound like you really don't want to answer that question.
It's tough.
Do you like the idea of WrestleMania 30 not being in Madison Square Garden? No, I think it should definitely be in Madison Square Garden. It's a historic event. 20 was at the Garden, 10 was at the Garden, the first one was at the Garden, I believe. So to continue that tradition really should have happened, but it didn't this year, did it? I think it's because Madison Square Garden only has 20,000 seater, I believe, and they want to try and sell like 100,000 seats.
There's rumours that 31's going to be in Madison Square Garden, but that obviously skipped the one that fans would have wanted. But to be honest, all Vince wants is money, as we keep saying in many videos.
He's a businessman. That's what businessmen do. Mr. Parkin, will you ever start watching Raw again? No, because it's... Okay, it's not... Even if it is a good show, you've got to remember, here in the UK... We have to stay up from 1 till 4 a.m. to watch Raw, and then we have to upload it after Raw to get the most views and most money on the videos. So I just really don't want to go through that. Whereas NJ, seeing as you really don't really sleep all that much, you don't mind doing it, do you? Plus you actually get some sort of enjoyment out of watching wrestling because you've done it for the last 10, 11, 12 years.
If my part in this is that Raw is obviously the thing that was the show we were reviewing on its own. Obviously, changes happen, and sometimes changes are good, but not for everyone.
No, like me. And what show is better, TNA or NXT? It's NXT.
Yes.
NXT is. I mean, I don't know whether you've watched a full episode of NXT, but I must admit I don't know what it is. I just have a thing for NXT. Like sometimes you have a crush on a girl, and she's not like the most attractive girl, she's not, you know what I mean? But you still just like that girl because you just have that feeling towards them. That's kind of like how I feel about NXT. She's just a girl I have a really, really big crush on, even though I'm not really sure why.
The thing is, TNA, when we first started reviewing TNA, it was better. And then all of a sudden, it dropped.
Aces and eights. I'll never be able to play a good game of poker again. Last question. NJ, what do you think WWE will do with Roman Reigns? I've heard WWE are very high on him. Do you think they will keep him face or turn him heel? He's already heel, so...
Yes, Roman Reigns. Oh my gosh. I was surprised when they went from Dean Ambrose probably being the next main eventer to really hammering down Roman Reigns. So I think To be honest, heel, face, he's got the package to be either one. But if he turns face, I think they can do a better job with him as a face, while Dean Ambrose got that heel-like look about him. I think Reigns will become a better face than like a Batista, the big, strong, muscly face.
I see babyface, and I remember when he first debuted on NXT, and he was a heel, but he kind of seemed like a face. And I remember thinking to myself, this guy does have the look. And now WWE's got to that point in WWE where he's been built up with the Shield, and now they can pull the trigger on him, and I hope they do and make him a babyface. And like you said, Dean Ambrose, how could you have Dean Ambrose as a babyface? He's so much better as a heel. He's got that psychotic gimmick.
That is right.
Exactly. It kind of reminds me of Terminator MJ. Ugh, I don't want to go there again. Anyway, that's been another Q&A from us, the British Fest. Just do it the other way around this time. Keep sending us in your questions. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll leave you with words from NJ.
And believe me, guys, the best is still yet to come.